Hey everybody, Mike Naso here from IPR365.com and PodWeather.com with the latest on Hurricane Alex. Alex is the first Atlantic hurricane of the 2010 Atlantic hurricane season, and believe it or not, it is the first June hurricane in the Atlantic since 1995, 15 years. I was 7, 8 years old. It was hard to believe when I heard that, but indeed Alex has achieved hurricane strength, and you can see the last few days the system stalled out near the Yucatan, had a little bit of trouble with some shear that was unexpected and some dry air, and a little bit of upwelling probably occurred, but you can see the system's been on the move, and it's actually jogged pretty good to the west the last few hours, increasing the threat to Mexico, decreasing the threat to Texas, but that does not mean we won't have an impact. As you can definitely see, the effects of Alex are wide reaching. This system is a very large hurricane extending a long way throughout the western Gulf of Mexico. Now, the latest on Hurricane Alex as of 10 p.m. Central, 11 p.m. Eastern. The eye of the hurricane was at 23.1 north, 94.8 west. Winds were 75 miles per hour, gusting higher. It's moving now west at 9. Now, that's important because that means that the system has taken that westward jog, which makes the track potentially even a little bit south of where these points are. But again, you have to remember with a hurricane as large as Alex, it could really be anywhere within this area that the actual eye of the hurricane makes landfall. And we do have that hurricane warning from Baffin Bay southward along the Mexican coast. And obviously, if you're in Brownsville, Matamoros, and La Pesca, Mexico, you guys are really going to take the brunt of the northern side of this hurricane. Pressure's down 973 millibars in the last recon pass, and the aircraft had a little bit of trouble, so we didn't get any more information wind speed wise. But with 973 millibars, that means those winds could quickly catch up to the pressure, and you could have winds over 100 miles per hour sustained with 973 millibars. So there is the chance that throughout the day tomorrow and overnight tonight, obviously, the hurricane could get a lot stronger before landfall, and we could be dealing with potentially a Category 2 hurricane. Now, there's the latest wind field, and again, the hurricane force winds are right around the eye in there, but the tropical storm force winds extend out a good deal, and that means areas of Brownsville all the way down to even Tampico will be impacted by the gusty winds, and there's already a good onset of winds along the coastline. The track, again, is pretty straightforward off to the west, maybe a little jog to the west-northwest before landfall, but somewhere in northern Mexico, it would be very, very unlikely that it would strike Texas. The only possibility would be if the system jaunts to the northwest and then to the west-northwest and somehow comes to Brownsville, but that's very unlikely at this point in time. Now, taking a look at the tropical storm as it is right now, hurricane, not a tropical storm anymore, you can see it's definitely spinning up. Still has to deal with a little bit of dry air. It coiled up very nicely, but it is dealing with the drier air, and that is an inhibitor for strengthening. Regardless, the hurricane is now 75 miles per hour, and it's only going to get stronger before landfall. There shouldn't really be anything to keep it from doing that. Again, here's another look at it on the IR imagery, and you can see just a beautiful storm continuing to move on, generally towards the west, maybe a little north of west, towards the Mexican coastline. Definitely a potent hurricane based on that satellite imagery, and so we're going to continue to watch this very carefully. Now, the wind shear with the system, you could see that anticyclone that we've been watching is over Mexico, and so the flow around it is creating a little bit of wind shear, but look at these values, 5, 10 knots. That's not enough to weaken the storm or inhibit development. It's not as favorable as if this system were sitting directly over the eye of the hurricane. Then obviously it would be fanning out in all directions. That actually happened with it when it was by the Yucatan, but still a favorable wind shear environment, and waters are warm, so strengthening until landfall into a powerful Category 1 hurricane is likely at this point. That does appear to be what's going to happen. Now, storm surge wise, what are the probabilities? Well, you can see the storm surge probabilities of 2 feet of storm surge, which isn't significant. They get higher as you get here towards the border region, Matamoros, and areas of Brownsville. However, further south, you could also have a lot of storm surge. And again, this is only for 2 feet of storm surge. The values increase in the Mexican coastline. If the eye makes landfall down here, for example, you could have storm surge values upwards of 8, 10 feet perhaps. We just aren't sure exactly what the impact will be, and that could inundate a large portion of the Mexican coastline. But again, you could see even the probability of, at the very least, light storm surge here along the border regions. So for the United States, you are still going to feel an impact from this hurricane, as it is going to be a powerful Category 1 or 2 making landfall. Now, taking a look at the radar, you can see here on the radar the hurricane. There's the eye coming ashore, not coming ashore, coming towards the shore. Right in there, you can see that little coil. That is the eye wall, and as we continue to monitor this system, it'll probably be coming into view somewhere like that. But again, anywhere within that cone area there is where we could see impacts. But you could see a lot of heavy rain heading towards the coastline. I say by 2, 3 in the morning, it's going to be raining, and it's going to be pretty eerie watching an intensifying hurricane in the middle of the night with the rain bands progressively getting worse along the Mexican and South Texas coastline. And again, taking a look at the entire Gulf Coast, look at this. We have that oil spill sitting out here. There is that push from the flow of the hurricane like that, creating heavy surf and even some thunderstorm activity around the circulation. You can see we do have nasty storms from Texas into Louisiana and Mississippi. We have a good band of rain heading towards western Louisiana and the upper Texas coast. Even as far back as the Florida Panhandle. You're saying, hey, I'm getting some thunderstorms here in Panama City, in Apalachicola, we're getting some rainfall. What's that from? Well, it is part of the outer circulation of the hurricane, and you can see that even better on the infrared. There you can see the hurricane looking very impressive right there with the deep reds and the grays near the center. Look at the banding. Heavy rainfall. This blow up towards Louisiana is probably the heaviest that's going to impact even before the area here of the western Gulf Coast. So again, Alex is going to be a potent system as it continues to make its move towards northern Mexico, and we're going to keep you updated on it. I'm Mike Naso from IPR. I'll be here with frequent updates throughout the night as Hurricane Alex continues to strengthen and near the Mexican and South Texas coast. I'll see you next time. Stay tuned to IPR365.com.